Up next on Inside ChampCar, rocking the Lifeline 24-hour classic. Welcome to Inside ChampCar. He's Bill Strong. I'm Brian Bielanski. This week on the show, after a short summer recess, we're back to racing with the last race of the summer of 24 is at VIRginia International Raceway. Our guest, the one and only Ben Keating, and a tech tip, which Bill hasn't told me about. It's going to be as much of a surprise to you as it is to me.
Surprise. It's what we always talk about.
Oh, well, don't tell me now. It's not a surprise if you tell me now.
Yes.
How you doing, my friend? Back from vacation? How was vacay?
Vacation was good. Got a little bit of a tan down there in the Keys. Did a little bit of fishing and boating and just had a blast with the family and did not touch ChampCar all but, well, okay, maybe I touched it twice while I was down there, but only for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
First time I've done that in 5 years. I usually go on vacation. My kids get all mad at me because I take laptops and multiple laptops. I'm doing work and they're wanting to go do stuff. And it's like, almost done. 3 hours later, I'm not done. So this year I did nothing.
Nice.
Nothing.
Nice. I saw some pictures. Looks like you had fun.
Yep. Had a good time. Got to drive I scheduled a Nissan Maxima because, lots of kids and family. And they didn't have it. So they gave me a Jaguar SUV,
shucks.
which was actually quite nice.
I bet.
Pretty cool. Yeah, 3-liter V6, quad turbo something or another.
And as long as you didn't have to spend your money to repair it, everything's good.
Oh, exactly. And I talked to a friend today, one of our employees today. She was looking at that as well, and she said it's such a nice looking car, but the Jaguar.
Yep.
So yeah,
that's all you have. To say.
I guess it's still the same. I remember when I was a kid back in the 70s, and you either got a good Jaguar or you didn't.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so we're heading in. It's time. It's that we've been talking about it now for 3 weeks. It's finally here, Bill. We're finally going to go racing at VIR.
I can't wait, man. I'm ready with all my gear. All my cameras are charged. All my cameras, all my still cameras are ready to shoot blurry photos. And I'm ready, man.
Wait. The cameras don't shoot blurry photos, Bill. You do.
I actually got a new camera too, so new to me camera. Yeah, so I can't wait to try that guy out.
Cool.
But yeah, so we're ready. The team is ready. We've been talking with the team, getting our stuff together, making sure we had enough parts and pieces to put on a 24-hour race, which takes a lot of parts and pieces.
Well, and it's back-to-back 24-hour races, even though there's been 3 weeks between them. The last race was the 24-hour at Nelson. I'm sure that, you're going to have to take the same equipment and make sure it's all up to snuff for the next one, and you've had a couple of weeks to do it, but it's still back-to-back 24s are not easy.
No, it's just like the drivers. I mean, you've got to take everything apart, clean it, put it back together, and make sure that it's still operating right because things vibrate loose over that 24-hour period, and which you don't want.
There you go.
So,
how many cars do we have scheduled for this fine feathered event?
So we have currently right now 73. We had 74 this morning. We're down to 73. This happens.
Yeah.
Don't get their cars together, but lots of cars, man. We're back up there in the big numbers. Last year we were down in the 50s. 59 teams last year, but we struggled a bit between 2019 and 2021. Well, yeah, it is what it is.
Right. But still, 74 cars at VIR is nothing to sneeze at. No,
and returning is Pinky's out. They're defending champions. I mean, they've won it 3 times in a row now. They're trying to beat. Let me pull that one up here. I lost the folder. Everything was in. It's here somewhere. But yeah, it's I want to say it's Acura Integra, which Ben Keating is driving. That has the record for the amount of wins. Here, let me pull this up. There we go. Our production documents for the show that Brian is participating in. We're still working on the schedule with Paulie, and then I'll get the schedule out for all our folks. I believe David Haynes will be joining us too from Australia to help call this race. We needed a foreign accent, which I believe Australian is kind of foreign, or is it American is foreign to him? That's the question.
That's good.
The VIR past winners, Pinky's Out has won 2019, 2020, and 2021. Simon Says and their Acura won in 2012, 2014, 15, and 16 with that Acura Integra.
Okay.
And I think they're back. Let's see. No, I saw them signed up for another race. They raced earlier with us this year. I believe they were at Watkins Glen because they were. I was anticipating them to kind of be up there in the top 5, but I think what's happened is the cars have they've kind of shifted away from those fast cars back then.
Okay.
And plus, those guys don't race as much as they used to.
Sure.
And of course, back in 2010 was our first race there on the South Course, a 24-hour, which I was involved in with our little Mark 1 MR2, and the X-Fed Racing won that one. That was a little VW Jetta, followed by the Boom Pow Surprise Ford Probe. You know who that was? That was Bill Riley with the Boom Pow Surprise.
Yeah, the Probe Exchange.
Yep. No, that was they added that later.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
Tony, 2012 and 2013, 14 was, I think it was, Ben was talking about 150 cars, something like that. It was 2012 or 2013 for those entries. Actually, I have it right here.
It's funny. In college sports, they have rivalry week, where all the big college teams and the big rivalries, when South Carolina plays Georgia, when Alabama plays. I feel like this is kind of like rivalry week. We've got Keating versus Riley.
Keating, Riley, Pinky's Out. That's Huggins.
Yeah.
We have Visceral Racing is coming up there. They've come close to winning that. And he's in it a long shot, but he's in it for the summer of 24s.
Yeah.
You got Hard Six Racing. They're bringing 2 cars. Honda of America Racing Team is bringing 2 teams. Of course, Brew Crew and their couple of cars. Bimmerline. You don't know who Bimmerline is, but we do.
Yep.
Bimmerline. Yeah, Bimmerline is James Clay's team.
Okay.
And James Clay runs in the IMSA series.
And
James is also the owner of Lifeline USA, and they're the sponsor of this weekend's race. And James has donated a few little items for giveaways. The winner is also going to get a really nice $400+ seatbelt system for their cars from Lifeline, along with we're going to be handing out a full fire system to a lucky draw during the driver's meeting. So everybody's going to have to be at the driver's meeting because you have to be there to win it.
Great.
So James is pull out your car number, and boom, that guy wins a full Lifeline fire system.
And remind people what the Summer of 24s is all about too, because we've got a couple, 6 cars in line for that possibly?
So Summer of 24s, which you had to compete in the Nelson Ledges 24, complete at least 10 laps. The same with the VIR 24. And we only had about 5 or 6 teams that have signed up for both. Tomorrow on my list of things to do on my checklist here is to go through and make sure that, some teams didn't sign up that when I first made the standings, they haven't signed up yet again.
Right.
So if they have signed up for the 24, I'll add them to the list and put them in the numbers. So, but I'll go through that tomorrow. And then, like I said, Atlanta Speedworks is going to be there. There's a lot of teams that are just top tier teams that are going to be there, including Good, Bad, and the Ugly. And of course, Hard Six, which is Ben Keating's team. But yeah.
How about our RVA Graphics?
RVA Graphics is going to be there as well with Rockwell Autosport. They compete in the IMSA series with 2 cars as well, and they have some good drivers coming down. Trophy Rife Racing, which is always a good team name to say because it's hard to say. Trophy Wife Racing.
There you go.
You can't. Yeah, and Wheels America Racing, they're coming back as well.
Cool.
So with the Miata.
So
it's going to be a fun weekend.
Anything special for the teams going in before we go to the tech tip? Any special VIR rules that we have to pay attention to?
Just stay on the blacktop.
Yes. Both in the paddock and on the racetrack.
It's going to be cold.
Is it really?
It's going to be cold. I have packed my snow gear right back there.
That cold in August?
57 degrees at night.
That's not cold.
What? Dude, It's been like 90s in the hundreds up here.
But
That's going to be freezing.
no. Oh, I'm going to have to take
57.
you up to Wisconsin and do some ice racing, and I'll show you what cold is. 56 degrees is cold. Even in California, I don't think that's cold.
It's going to be foggy as heck too,
Sure
with the river, right? Dan River
the
going
Dan
right.
River, yeah.
The river temperature is going to be like 70, or going to be like in the 90s, and the air temp 70. So what's that make? Fog or 50s?
It'll be like a murder mystery, waiting to happen, and in the foggy, steamy evening just outside VIR. Racers came from coast to coast to race for a 24-hour win, and then the death came.
We can tell ghost stories
exactly.
on the show.
Woo! Bill will be there with a little flashlight doing the whole. All right, well, let's get to our tech tip before I take this thing completely off the rails. Tech tip time. I see Bill with his hand strengthener.
Yes, I'm with those little things you squeeze and you make your wrist strong, so I can hold my microphone for a 24-hour period.
That's not our tech tip, though, is it?
No.
Okay.
No, our tech tip is we are going to VIR.
Yes.
VIR has historically been a very hot race. So what do? Well, one of the things that happens is you're a team owner, you're the head guy in charge, or even just a race car driver just showed up to race and they put you to work. So you've been working all day Friday, get that car through tech. You've been working, getting the car ready for the race. You've done some laps during the test day, and you've gone out there Saturday morning, done a few more laps, and you get to get the car together. So you've been working on this car constantly with very little sleep because you're worried to death. It's hot. It's humid. It's just not the best place for guys. Most of us are not in shape. I mean, there's a few guys out there that are in shape, but most of us are not in the best shape.
Our next guest is in shape.
Yes, he is. Yes. And so, you don't perform your best when you're dehydrated and when you've had lack of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You tend to make mistakes. And you may not notice those mistakes, but the guy next to you racing might, because you just banged his door. Or you've gone off at Oak Tree because you just failed to see the turn-in point, or were thinking about something else. Those are kind of signs that, hey, you might want to come in and get some water, or take a little rest for a bit, put somebody else in the car, maybe get a little bit of rest. But come nighttime, it gets kind of hard. You start getting tired, dehydrated. Don't let that happen to you, because it could end up hurting you or hurting somebody else.
Well,
and it's super important.
And by the time you notice it or someone else notices it, it's really too late. Even if there's 12 hours left in the race, if you're dehydrated at the halfway point, there's almost no way to get yourself rehydrated without, a banana bag or a trip to the ER. And, you need to make sure that you don't let it happen, because rehydrating under those conditions is next to impossible.
So I'm going to tell you a little story, and I may have said this before here. I say it all the time on our show, and I've told this over and over again on the net, but I know there's new people listening. So I want to say it was 2012, 2013. We're participating in the VIR24 in my Toyota MR2, my car. I'm out doing my 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. stint, and I'm driving along. I'd been up all day long. I don't think I drank that much, because it was humid, it rained, and I was just working on the car, just trying to keep the team all together and everybody corralled and doing what they're supposed to do. And of course, you're up bright and early, so not much sleep. And I'm in my car doing my stint. I'm doing my thing, man. I'm putting down fast laps. I'm like, this is awesome. So I've got to do this HTML on Monday. I've got to do this new checkout procedure for the checkout process. And, I got to do these pictures. Oh, shoot. I'm in a race, man. I need to focus on racing. I just missed an apex. I got the car a little wide, got off into the dirt. It's like, shoot, what the heck, dude? You're supposed to be driving. So I get back driving. I'm doing good again. Not 3 corners later, I'm thinking about HTML again. And it's just like, what the heck, dude? Come on, focus. I do some stuff in the car to kind of wake me up, make me,
Yeah.
I'm on the back straight going down. Dude. Another lap comes around. I'm going up through the S's, and I swear I'm thinking shopping carts. The chat, HTML shopping carts. I get through the S's, and I get passed by a car I just passed. It's like, what in the heck is going on here? And I get on the front straightaway. Again, I don't know what's going on. I pass a car going up at the top of the roller coaster, and it's a Mustang, and I come down the hill, and it's raining. It's just drizzling. But the track is slick as heck, as snot. And the car just goes off out in the field. And it was one of those things I remember, like, oh, it's flat here. I can turn back into the track. Well, it wasn't. I was at an angle, turned the car back. The car snapped because I was still doing about, 70, 80 miles an hour. It snapped, went straight across the track, and I have a video of it where I missed that Mustang by millimeters, T-boning him, and went straight into the wall, nose first. Ended up hitting my head, got a concussion, brain bleed, out of racing for the rest of the year. And it all came down to I was making really bad decisions because I was dehydrated and lack of sleep, lack of food, just all kinds of stuff. So one thing I've said over and over for the last 10 years or 9 years or whatever it's been, is like, if you suspect your driver's doing stuff that he doesn't normally do, there's an issue there. You need to get him in and look and talk to him. And because if you don't, he's going to end up getting hurt or hurting somebody else. Right. And you don't that as a racer.
Well, and the same advice goes for crew members too. I mean,
yes.
And we talked about this before one of our other hot event weekends, is that it's really good to have somebody on the team who's not a driver be in charge of making sure and literally watching your whole team through the weekend and keeping either, if you can't keep it as mental notes, write it down. Make sure you're seeing people drinking water or Gatorade, not other stuff, but whatever you need to keep people hydrated. Have one person whose job really is to keep track of what your teammates are doing, because we don't think about it, when we're busy. It's not something, you and I can preach this all day long, but we still get people every race weekend who get dehydrated and have issues. So, but it's important to see and have that discussion, designate, hey, John, your job this weekend is to make sure all of us are getting enough liquids, and give that job to somebody, and that will save a lot of possibly, people and money from problems. So and I think the biggest issue I see guys getting out of the car is they start dumping water onto their head. That does nothing. No,
absolutely zero. The heat is going to escape out of your head anyway. It may feel good to you, but it does nothing for your body. You have to get that water inside your body. That's the only way, because you sweat out all that water. Now your blood is thick as that 50 weight you've got in that car, and you need to thin that blood back out again, and you got to drink water.
Yep.
I think that's the way it works. I'm not a doctor, but my wife is.
Well, we'll have to get her on the show someday to talk about this. So, all right.
She'll just cuss the whole time.
There you go.
Just stupid. Ben's wife, she's, oh yeah, go race. My wife's like, go race now too. But
all right. Anything else before we head out to break? And then we've got Bill. We've got Ben Keating on the other side. Great conversation.
Yeah. Nope. Just I'm headed out to VIR here on Friday morning, bright and early, and most of the team will be there. We're going to have some fun, and of course, when you guys are listening to this, hopefully you're prepared and ready to go for 24 hours, because this is probably one of the hardest races we do all year.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to watching these cars through the night, going through Oak Tree and all that other fun stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
that means you have to put a camera down there, darn it.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. But put that on your list, man. Put that on your list. All right. When we come back, we've got Ben Keating. He's going to join us, talk about his illustrious career before ChampCar, and why he comes out and which driver he's hoping to beat this weekend. We'll do that next on Inside ChampCar on the Racing Wire Podcast Network.
Every race weekend, you don't know what's going to happen. But with ChampCar.live, all the action comes right into your living room. The ChampCar Endurance Series is North America's home to real competitive endurance road racing. And ChampCar.live brings you live, full race coverage with in-car, trackside cameras, interviews, and expert commentary. And ChampCar.live brings you live, full race coverage with in-car and trackside cameras, interviews, and expert commentary. Check out ChampCar.live on the web, subscribe, and ring the bell so as not to miss a single minute of the action. It's fun, free, informative, and it's just a click away. ChampCar.live. Come check us out. We bring you a front row seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Welcome back to Inside ChampCar. I'm Brian Bielanski. He's Bill Strong. And joining us now is someone who we have threatened to put on the show for a long time. And I know Bill's been trying, and, scheduling is hard, especially when you're flying all over the country to race and all over the world to race. But we're finally able to put it together. We're talking with none other than Ben Keating. Hello, Mr. Keating. How are you, sir?
Very good. Very good. Happy to be on the show.
Well, we are really, really happy to have you. So let's start with, and last interview, I didn't do my own rule, so I'm going to go back to my own rule. We always start with the beginning, and that here would be the question of how and when did you get interested and involved in cars to begin with?
So, interested in cars would go way back. My grandfather was a Ford dealer, and he had 5 children, and 4 of them became Ford dealers. One of those was my dad. And so I grew up as being, a car dealer's kid in Tomball, Texas, just outside of Houston. And, from the time I was 11, I was, washing cars and parking cars in a straight line and picking up trash and all the other kind of jobs an 11-year-old could do around there. I've kind of always been interested, not just in cars, but anything with a motor. I had a moped that I used to race around the pasture at the house. And then I graduated to a 3-wheeler. It's kind of miraculous that I lived through that experience. I've had plenty of wrecks on the 3-wheeler that would have killed me. And then, I eventually ended up getting into the car business. Say again, Bill?
Were these the 3-wheelers that got all recalled back in the 70s, 80s?
There's a reason there's no longer a 3-wheeler available, is what I'll say.
Okay.
Those things were death traps, and Bill Riley loves to tease me about. He loves to send me, 3-wheeler pictures that are not too far from the truth for me. I got multiple broken bones and black eyes and whatever else from a 3-wheeler, but. I got into the car business actually having nothing to do with the fact that my family was in the business. I went and got an engineering degree because I didn't want anything to do with the car business. And then I fell in love with it in an internship in college and decided that that's what I wanted to do. And so I went to work for a dealership in Austin. When we graduated, I kind of went on that path of, work being my only hobby. And it wasn't until, Christmas of 2005 that my wife, trying to figure out what I me for Christmas, decided that I was in the car business, that might have fun doing a track day at Texas World Speedway in College Station. So she bought me that for Christmas. I'd never heard of such a thing. I didn't know that you could take your car out on the track and drive it in that way. I was the Dodge dealer in Fort Lavaca, Texas. And so I took a 2002 Viper off the showroom floor of the Dodge dealership, and I went to Texas World. I wore shorts. I didn't bring any tools at all. I didn't bring a helmet. I didn't bring gloves. I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was going to or what was expected of me. I borrowed an old open face helmet. And, within about 24 hours, I was driving the car hard enough that I boiled my brake fluid. Of course, I didn't have any idea what had happened. I just knew that I didn't have any brakes when I went into turn 9. Luckily, a nice guy next to me in the garage said, "It sounds like to me like you boiled your brake fluid." And even though I was a car dealer, I looked at him like he had 3 heads, and I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And he said, "Well, you got to bleed them." And again, I'm like, okay. So he brought over his jack and his tools. We bled my brakes, and I was good to go.
You went to a track day without with a Viper, without a team of crew. It was just you and a helmet.
I drove the car off the showroom straight to the track, and I drove it back home. I had no idea what to expect, but it was the most fun I'd ever had in my life. And I decided that, I needed to do that more often. And so, so I did that event in 06, I believe. And then in January of 07, I went to a Viper Days event back at Texas World. Because I was in a Viper, the guy that was running Texas World suggested that I should come back to Viper Days. I went to Viper Days, and of course there were all these guys there in Vipers just like mine. They were all doing all these incredible lap times, and this was something I was interested in doing. So I went around and interviewed a bunch of people, and I made a long list of all the things I needed to do to my car to make it a good track car. And I added it all up, and it was going to be about $15,000. And being the car dealer, I realized if I spend $15,000 on this brand new car, it's now going to be worth $15,000 less than it would be as a new car. And so it's really a $30,000 spend.
Right.
And so that's how I justified the fact that instead of spending that on the car, I bought a race car. At that event, I bought a race car because it was a better investment. And I put it in used car inventory at the Dodge store so that I didn't have to bring it home.
Right.
And then I took it to the next Viper Days event, which was at Sebring.
Wait. How do you explain to your wife that? You didn't explain to your wife that you bought a race car. It's now in inventory.
That's right. We just had another car at the dealership. That's nothing new. And so I went to my next event, which was a Viper Days event at Sebring, and I was doing some really good lap times at Sebring. I was in second place in terms of the time trial competition that they were having, but they weren't posting my times. And so I'd go to Skip Thomas, who was running the Viper Days of organization. And I said, "Skip, I don't understand. You're not posting my times, and I'm in second place." And he said, "Well, Ben, you're in the Michelin Challenge Series. And if you're going to get your times posted, you got to be running on Michelin tires." And I said, "I don't understand. I bought a car that came out of this series." And he said, "Well, you bought a race car, and on race cars, you got to be running on Hoosier tires." And so I said, "Skip, what do I have to do to go home with a trophy?" He said, "Well, you either have to buy a set of tires or you have to run in the race group." And at this point in time, I still didn't know that tires didn't last for years like they do on a street car. And so I said, well, I don't want to spend money on a new set of tires. I'll run in the race group. And so I got put in the race group because I had bought a race car, and I was racing on a set of Hoosier slicks that had already done 2 races, and they were 2 years old.
Wow.
And so I wasn't having any tire wear because they were hard as rocks. But, that was my first event, and I promptly broke my transmission in that event, and, didn't get to pass anybody, didn't get to finish the race. But in that first year, I did 6 events in that car in the race group. And whether they were my fault or not, I was involved in 6 incidences. And so they came to me at the end of the year and said, Ben, you're on probation. If you get in one more incident in the next 6 months, then we're kicking you back into the time trial group because nobody wants to race with you anymore.
Oh.
And that's exactly what I needed. I backed it off, and I tried to, I quit trying as hard as I was trying. And then the following year, I won the championship in that class. And then I, sold that car, bought a new car, upgraded to the next class, and I won the championship in that class, and just kind of kept developing in that way. Then I started to make the switch into World Challenge, but Chrysler came out with the Dodge Viper Cup, which was a spec series event,
Right.
which, they started that in 2010. And if you might remember, 08, 09, 2010 was a really difficult time for car dealers.
Right.
And, I didn't have any money. And so the Dodge Viper Cup seemed to make a lot more sense to me, because if you won a race, you got 10 grand in prize money. And they had 2 races per weekend. So I had the potential that I might be able to earn 20 grand a weekend, which was way more than I could get anywhere else. And so I decided to go in the Dodge Viper Cup, and I did that for a couple of years. Then the car business got quite a bit better, and I had paid down some debt, and I got my grandparents died in 2010. They left me a little bit of money. And, again, I convinced myself that my grandparents would really love for me to do something that I always wanted to do, and that I could live without. I was going to be okay without this money. And so I used that money to buy a seat in one of Kevin Buckler's Porsches for the 24 Hours of Daytona, the Rolex 24 at Daytona. And that is how I got completely hooked on endurance sports car racing.
Wow.
And then, Sally, it kind of took off from there.
So how does one go from a front engine, big heavy block, rear drive car to a really lightweight portion? They're not really mid engine, they're rear engine.
So
engine.
I will totally agree that the cars handle differently, but I'm not a guy that gets caught up into front engine, mid engine, back engine, front wheel drive, rear wheel drive. I don't care. At the end of the day, I don't feel like, going fast around a track is that much different between the different cars. I have many times I race an LMP2 prototype and then get right back into the Aston Martin on the same weekend, on the same day, doing different practice sessions. Or, 2021, I did the LMP2 and the Aston Martin, both in the same Rolex 24 race. And everybody's always concerned about switching back and forth and all of that. It's just never been a big deal for me. Yes, you drive them differently. Yes, they behave differently. Yes, you get speed out of them differently. But, after 2 or 3 laps, you just adjust. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a front wheel drive Acura in ChampCar.
Yeah. Before we get to that, a couple things that have struck me in our conversation so far. First of all, most of us blame our dads to get us into racing. You blame your wife. I love that. That's fantastic.
I give her credit.
I'm sorry, you gave her credit. That's right.
Credit.
That's right. The second part is you're in Texas, and the entire conversation you've had with us just now, you've been walking around your house outdoors. I'm guessing it's 100 degrees outside, and you haven't even broken a sweat.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
That's awesome.
It's okay.
That's awesome.
It's heat conditioning. I'm getting acclimated.
There you go. So before we get on to ChampCar, well, it's still ChampCar officially, I guess. You went from nothing as far as a racing background in 2005, and in 2015 you win the 24 Hours of Daytona. And what surprises me about the story you just told me is the first year they told you if you don't straighten up your act, we're going to kick you out. And one of the things I've always thought about you in all of the time I've covered races that you've been in is you always bring the car back in one piece. It's almost never you balling up your car. It's one of your teammates. So that's why the gentleman racer, that's always what you want in your gentleman racer. Obviously, you often own the team, so you get to drive. But the gentleman racers sometimes get a bad rap, but you always bring the car back in one piece.
Well, you might. Bill Riley might suggest differently. We should have won the Rolex 24 in 2016 and 2017 also. I had a blowout going through the kink, and I didn't bring it home. I'd like to think that I've gotten a lot better at that, although my record is not perfect.
Right. Right. So now this weekend, you're joining us with the ChampCar World Series at the 24 Hours of VIR, and for a guy who is, racing at the top levels of motorsports, Le Mans, Spa-Francorchamps, Sebring, Laguna Seca, to get into the car on a race weekend at ChampCar World Series, I just love it that you're doing that.
Endurance Series. It's ChampCar World Series. That's what we were.
I know.
It's all right, Brian. We're still educating Brian.
We're working.
Well, everybody always corrects me to say that it's ChampCar. And I'm sorry, but I just love the ChampCar name. I'm not willing to let it go.
That's all right.
So, everybody can correct me all they want. I'm still going to call it the ChampCar World Series.
There you go.
This is another thing I will blame or give credit to Bill Riley for. Bill and Tyler invited me to come to that race. I can't remember how long ago, but many years ago, to race in their Ford Probe with them. At the time, it had to be 15, 16, or 17 because I was still in the Viper. And of course, I had Viper Exchange all over the side of my Viper. And they put Probe
Probe Exchange. I remember that.
Exchange all over the side of their car as a great joke. But I had so much fun. It is total mayhem out there. I think I don't know how many cars are registered this year, but that year I think we had somewhere around 150 cars on VIR all at once, which is just mind-boggling. And it was incredibly fun racing. It was incredibly clean racing, and for me it really gets back to the root of it all. I am doing this for fun. I have kind of gotten hooked into chasing after some of these big championships and big race wins. But the truth is, I'm slowly trying to pull myself out of that world so that I can spend more time doing the things that are just plain fun, which is what this event is all about for me. I just enjoy. I enjoy the paddock. I enjoy the racing. I enjoy the officials. There's everything about the series. It has been really fun for me. I think this will be my fourth attempt to try to finish that race. I have yet to finish so we decided to build up an Acura, and it was about the same price to build up two as it was to build up one. So we built up two Acuras, and so I'm now a car owner on my ChampCar stuff, and so now I've got a little bit more invested into this weekend, and I'll say that it has been a very painful learning process. Our record has been 15 hours that we made it in this race in our cars. And, we didn't show up last year because we've been doing a lot of work. So, we completely stripped all the wiring out of the car, rewired it, put in a different, ECU, put in a different fuel cell. I mean, just we're trying to solve all the problems at once. What you do. That's right. It's what you do. It's just part of the game. But, our goal is to make it past 15 hours. Yeah. That's our first goal. Our first goal is to make it longer than we've ever made it before. But, for most people, that sounds like pure hell. But for me, it's a fun challenge, and I get to do it with people that I enjoy being with. There's always the outside chance. Even though I'm in the A class and Bill Riley is in the EC class, there's always...
No, Bill's in D class.
Okay, same difference. Bill's in the D class for being a big dick. Yeah. There's always the chance that my Acura might outlast his Corvette.
Nice.
You never know. And, if he beats me, it's kind of like no big deal because that's what everybody expects. I'm in A and he's in D, and so he's supposed to beat me. But if I beat him, then I get to ride that all year long.
For the rest of your
life.
life.
Much value in that.
Yes.
There's so much, I don't know. It's like, he may have a bet with me on how we're going to finish in this race, but it's like I'm getting huge odds on my bet. Everybody knows I'm a long shot because of the car I'm driving, but it's like I'm getting 30-1 odds.
My question is, you did extremely, extremely well in the dark at Le Mans. I'm willing to bet Bill won't be able to see past the hood in the dark at VIR because he's old.
Yeah, I appreciate your vote of confidence there, Bill. But one of the keys to us winning the race at Le Mans is that I didn't drive in the dark.
Oh, okay. I like that. That's what.
So I can drive in the dark, but at Le Mans I give up about two more. At a normal lap in the daylight, I'm about 2 or 3 seconds slower than my pros.
Okay.
In the nighttime, I'm 4 or 5 seconds slower than my pros. So I give up 2 additional seconds per lap that you don't have to give up. Right. And so, we weren't supposed to win Le Mans this year. We didn't have the fastest car. The Porsches were so much faster than we were, but, they made the poor decision to put their bronzes out at night. And so, that was one of the reasons why we did well.
Right.
Now, clearly in this scenario, when we're racing these Acuras with ChampCar in in a 24-hour race, I am the pro, and so I suspect that I will be doing a lot of night driving, which is great. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So
So Ben Levitt, he's driving with you too, right? Ben?
Yes, he pronounces it Levite.
Yeah, Levite. So now he's one of the Riley guys, isn't he?
He is. He's one of the engineers for Riley.
So how did you steal him away?
Well, because he is a Honda guy, so he grew up working on Hondas, and so as we were struggling with these cars of trying to make them, not break down, we used his experience and expertise quite a bit. And again, the same kind of thing of what I just expressed. If Bill beats Levite, then it's because it was supposed to happen that way. But if we win, if we beat Bill, then we get mileage out of that all year long.
You're kind of like,
so it's not hard to get him to sign up for it.
You're kind of like USA Hockey in 1980 going up against the Russians.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
You're not supposed to even be in that game, but you're going to be there and going after the juggernaut that is Riley.
So if we beat him, are we going to call that? What was the name of that movie?
The Miracle on the Racetrack. We're going to call it the Miracle at VIR.
Yes, right. We're going to call it the Miracle at VIR. Perfect.
Yeah, I like that.
I love it.
I might even make a poster for Bill.
So did you put any of the tech that you learned while helping Fisker with the VLF Force 1 V10 into your Hondas at all? Any of that suspension?
No. It's apples and oranges. Those giant rotors. I think the rotors on that car are larger than the wheels on my Acura.
I think you're right. Oh, that's good stuff. So when we had Bill on, he likes to tell stories.
Yeah.
And
I think
I don't know how many of them are true, but regardless, they were good stories. Do you have any Bill Riley stories you can put out there for us that we can really poke the bear with?
Golly, I should have expected that question, and I should have come prepared. But off the cuff, I can't come up with any.
That's all right.
And I'm so disappointed with that. I am. Let me think on it a minute, but nothing comes to mind off the top of my head.
So I was just going to say, so you said you're doing this now because you love it and you love the people and you're kind of winding down from maybe some of the pro racing stuff and wanting to do more things that you like to do. What else is on that Ben Keating bucket list? I mean, it seems like you probably checked off all the big ones at this point. I know the VIR24 win this weekend is obviously on the top of that bucket list. What else is out there next? What's the next piece of fruit?
Yeah, I do really enjoy still racing at that top level, but I also realize that it costs a fortune to compete at that level, and I don't really have anything to prove to anybody, including myself, and so I will continue next year in the WEC championship for one last year because it'll be the last year of the GTE cars. Mm-hmm. And I just don't have any desire to switch to a GT3 car in that series. And what I mean by pulling back is, I'm hoping to go from, 12 to 15 races a year down to 6 or 8 races a year, and just doing the ones that I enjoy. The one thing that is on that bucket list is to hopefully win the World Endurance Championship. We got second last year. We're currently in the points lead. We got 2 races left. and we only have a 7-point lead, so it's pretty tight there at the top. But we're still hoping that we pull that off at the end of our last race, and that's kind of like the last big, box to tick. For the most part, I've won all the big races that I have, kind of set out the goal of accomplishing that, and I feel like I need to be spending less time, chasing after that rabbit, and spending less money chasing after that rabbit, and just get back to the core of what it's about, and that is just going out there and having a good time.
Well, that's interesting, because when I met you for breakfast one day, on accident or by accident, and you had just lost at Petit Le Mans.
Okay, now wait a minute, Bill.
Jerome had actually run out of fuel.
Felipe Fraga was in the car.
Oh, Felipe was, yes.
You started breakfast out, like saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you just lost."
Yes.
And my response was, "Bullshit, we just won."
Yes, exactly.
The goal of that race was to win the the North American Endurance Championship. And because we went for first place points at the 8-hour mark, which secured us that win, we didn't have enough fuel to get to the end at the 10-hour mark.
Yeah.
And so, I made the decision to win the North American Endurance Cup instead of the race. And so everybody approached me like, "Oh, I'm so sorry you lost."
Yeah.
And I'm there going, nobody understands. We just won. We won the championship. We accomplished our goal, and let's have a beer.
Yeah, that was actually pretty funny, because I spoke to Bill and Tyler after that, and they, Tyler was basically like, "We're going to run out of fuel at turn 10A, or something like that."
Yeah.
And Riley's like, no, we might make it to the top of the hill. We might be able to get there. And sure enough, 10A, or right on the straightaway there, they ran out of fuel. So he was spot on, which still amazes me, that how close these guys can call these races, these engineers.
Yeah. What's interesting is the exact same thing happened to us last year at Petit in the LMP2. I made the call as the guy paying the bills. I made the call that I wanted to go for the NAEC win, which we got, and we won it. But we ran out of fuel on the last lap, and ended up coming across the line in second, because we ran out of fuel in 10A and coasted down the hill.
Right.
So
you're not going to run out of fuel at VIR, right?
Well, that's yet to be seen. We have I was doing the math yesterday. We have a new fuel cell. We have a collector that has half a gallon in it. And by my math, I'm pretty certain I can make it around the lap with half a gallon, maybe even a lap and a half with half a gallon. But that's all dependent on whoever is driving seeing the light.
Right. Now,
So there's still a chance.
Now, if we do a pump out on that car, we're not going to find this much fuel, are we?
Nope.
Okay, just checking.
So,
nope.
Before we head out, Ben, I got to tell you, I can't find the list. I should have pulled it up. But you have won the 24 Hours of Daytona, the Sebring 12-hour, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The list of people who have done that has to be really, really short.
Yeah. I don't know what that list looks like, but I mean, I'll agree. It's crazy when I look at it. We've won a lot of World Endurance Championship races. I've won Petit Le Mans. I've won Watkins Glen. I've won a race at almost every circuit that IMSA goes to, it's been really spectacular. The I would agree with Bill that, or maybe you said it, but the 24 hours at VIR is probably on the top of the list of races I want to win that I haven't.
Nice. I completely lost my train of thought. I had a very important and good question to ask you, and I've completely forgotten it. Oh, you're back. You're in the house now. How many steps does your Fitbit say?
I don't know.
That's fantastic.
I don't know. He was getting me dizzy out there, man. You're just. I think your birthday's in a couple of days.
Wow.
51. I've done my research.
Yeah. Wow. You have. It'll be in 10 days.
10 days. Yep.
I'll be 51.
I remember my question now.
I'm one step closer to staying bronze forever.
There you go. My question is what does the nearly 51-year-old Ben Keating tell that 13-year-old who was breaking bones on the three-wheelers? Could you have ever imagined at age 13 that you'd have done all of what you've done as far as motorsports goes?
Absolutely not. Like I said, that first day I went out, I had no idea that any normal old Joe could, hop in their car and take it out to a track and drive it that way. I had no idea that opportunity existed anywhere. If you look back at my history, I've been very open about the fact that, I went through drug rehab twice in high school. I would definitely say that, my personality hadn't changed at all. But my drug of choice is quite different now, and it's racing cars. But the same things you get into trouble with, when you're a drug addict, of not making wise choices, or doing whatever it takes to get a fix or whatever that happens to be, of how it can have an effect on every other place in your life. That is all still true. When it comes to racing, I don't make good decisions. I put stress on my wife and my kids and the office and everything. And even though it takes all of that, I still do it just because I absolutely love it. It is. I don't know what I would tell that 13-year-old, Ben, other than, I feel like I'm living my best life right now.
That's awesome.
Who knows what the future holds? As far as I'm concerned, I'm 50 years old. I don't think I'm even halfway yet. I'm super healthy. I'm going to live a long life, and I can't imagine what the next 50 years hold. And so, I might be trying to think about, what do I tell that 80-year-old Ben Keating race car driver?
Yeah, I love it.
ChampCar champion.
There you go.
Ben Keating. There you go.
So I tell you, Ben, I'm pretty certain that the applications for sainthood for Mrs. Keating and Mrs. Strong and Mrs. Bielanski will be submitted at the same time for allowing all of us to do what we do on the weekends and giving us the opportunities to do that. None of us could do that without support from our families.
You bet. Of course, while I'm going to VIR to go racing, she's taking a girls' trip down to West Palm Beach in Florida. So, that's her way of getting even with me.
That's awesome. Right. Ben, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. We're going to have to get you back on with Mr. Riley so that you can kind of and Bill and I are just going to sit back and listen while you guys go after each other.
Yeah, that would be entertaining for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, that's Ben Keating. He's going to be racing with all of us this weekend at VIR, and we are going to talk about that and a whole lot more. We'll do that next, coming up on Inside ChampCar.
Inside ChampCar is a podcast that takes a deep dive into all things going on with the ChampCar Endurance Series. Hosted by veteran journalist, radio host, and racer Brian Bielanski and ChampCar's very own Bill Strong, we talk to drivers, team bosses, tech gurus, and series supporters. Episodes air every week in time for you to listen on your way to the track. Inside ChampCar is on the Racing Wire Podcast Network, found on Apple, Spotify, Google, and most popular podcasting apps.
Welcome back, Inside ChampCar. He is
Bill Strong.
And I'm Brian Bielanski. What a great chat with Ben Keating, Bill.
Yes, that was awesome. I knew it would be awesome. I mean, he's such a cool guy.
He got his 10,000 steps in just talking to us.
Yeah, he did, easily. It was getting me dizzy walking around his house because his phone was pointing up.
I know.
I saw his roof every time, and it was just like, whoa.
It was
Can't look
pretty
at
cool.
that.
Pretty cool. All right, so we got Gingerman coming up next week.
Yep.
That's a
August
7 and an 8, right?
Yep. That's a weird one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me open up the subs here real quick. You started too quick, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. So we have a 2-hour quiet hour.
Oh, yes.
This is the weird one because the track and the church and some folks nearby, they just don't want us making noise during their services. So now it's a 2-hour, but we've extended it out. It's a 8-hour on Saturday, 7-hour on Sunday with a 2-hour break. And it's one race. So there's no split,
So it's cumulative.
Yep.
Cool.
So we'll red flag everybody, bring them down, black flag everybody, bring them down pit lane, park them in the spots they were out on the track behind the pace car. We'll turn the cars off. Guys can get out their data stream, their data chips and their cameras and all that, the little stuff there, get their driver out, of course, and go hang around for 2 hours and, drink mimosas wait. No, you can't do that.
Oh, so it's not a Saturday to Sunday cumulative. Just the Sunday is one race with the 2-hour break. I got you.
Correct. Yeah,
I got you. Okay.
But yeah, so Sunday is just 2 hours and just have your lunch for 2 hours. It's kind of nice for me because I get to, usually I'm running around for through the hour fixing cameras, getting things set up, and then I go to get lunch and now we're going back racing. It's like no.
Good
so
stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. But yeah, it's other than that, it's a normal race weekend in Gingerman, and of course it's in season. I think it's in season for hotels and all that stuff. So that's always a pain. You got all the South Haven's a big touristy area, and but it's fun. We have a blast there. It's great for us because they have a huge ice cream store there. You get these ice creams the size of my head, ice cream cones, pretty big, and I have a big head.
So it's in season also for humidity and mosquitoes.
It's not bad. I'm telling it's. Well, now it's going to be bad, but
do you know what the Michigan State bird is?
The mosquito.
The mosquito.
Yeah, I know about that.
Good stuff. All right. Anything else before we head out of here today? I mean, this has been a good one so far. We don't want to ruin it by babbling on here, right?
No, we don't. We don't get paid extra.
We get paid?
Oh, wait a second.
Gonna have to talk to Dana about that part. I shouldn't complain. Actually, I did get paid.
We get some sponsors. We're starting to get some good numbers on the folks listening. And so if you want to, we'll make you a deal.
Oh,
Brian and I, we'll make some deals here. Let's get your shop or your business, or you want to help our show out. Give me an email.
Send Bill an email.
Yeah. Bill.strong@chamcar.org.
There you go. All right, Bill, thank you again. We'll do it again next week. After VIR, we'll have a lot to talk about.
Oh, lots. I'm not sleeping.
Oh, you won't be sleeping. That's going to do it for another episode of Inside ChampCar. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any episodes. Also, leave some comments, good or bad, on our social medias. We'd love to hear from you. That's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll have another episode next Thursday as well for Bill Strong. I'm Brian Bielanski. You're listening to the Racing Wire Podcast Network.